Shalom, it's a joy to be with you again today on your weekly broadcast of Your Jewish Connection. And as you know, I want to connect you with the Jewish identity of Jesus, the Jewish roots of your Christian faith, and we want to give you practical insights for everyday living, as well as letting you know the great things that God's doing amongst the Jewish people around the world. Today, I am delighted to have dear friends of mine with me, Rabbi Mark and Danya Greenberg. And these people are important players in the restoration of the Jewish people and the bringing of the Jewish roots of the Christian faith to the church. You're going to want to stay tuned. Well, we're here with Rabbi Mark and Danya Greenberg. These are dear friends of mine, key players in the end-time revival of the Jewish people and restoring the Jewish roots of the Christian faith. And we've been friends like a long time, about 25 years or so. I guess I met you when I was 3 years old. Not really, but...
you didn't have a beard, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
We were babies back then.
Yeah, it seems that way, doesn't it?
25 years. I mean, my youngest just graduated high school today. Like, he's graduating this week.
I got a 39-year-old son.
I know, right? We got grandkids.
I got 10 grandkids. You guys got a lot of catching up to do, because I plan on having at least one grandkid for each of the 12 tribes of Israel. So I got at least two more coming.
Personally repopulate. You're doing great.
Yeah.
You're doing great, Stu.
Yeah. So, you guys had a important role in our life because we were called in 1995 to move with our entire family from upstate New York to Belarus to bring the gospel to our Jewish people who had never heard, and also to the people of the nations. And we were planting a Messianic Jewish congregation in Syracuse, and you folks came and took that over and built it up.
That's right.
Yeah.
And still there today.
And
That's
it's still
right.
there today. Yeah. Another good friend, Jacob Rogers, is leading that today. Hallelujah. We love to see continuation, Lador from generation to generation.
We actually have that whole Timothy thing worked out in the Bible where, you're supposed to teach others who will teach others.
Yeah.
We actually have that. We're part of the same family line spiritually, from Jonathan Burness and the work that you did there in Syracuse, and then us working through that, and then the Rogers. And I'm telling you, we're just seeing generation after generation. To be alive to see 4 generations of Messianic leadership is unheard of.
Hallelujah.
It really is a God thing.
Hallelujah. I love it. I love it. And so we move over there. You're raising up 3 kids. You're leading a congregation, which is, demanding work. And then you guys get this burden, this vision to do just a small project, like a new translation. I'm joking, small. A new translation of the Bible.
Okay, all I wanted to do was get a Bible for my kids. My kids didn't have a Bible, and I just needed to do something.
Okay, what do you mean? The kids, couldn't they buy like a Bible in the bookstore?
Well, yeah, but here's the rub. Here's the thing. If you can't really solve an issue until you figure out what's causing the itch. Mm-hmm. But I was itching to get this Bible for the kids because I had written Golden Apple's children's curriculum, which was basically just started as like placemats, right, with little pictures for kids to keep them busy in services. I caught that off of working with the Rosenbergs in New York City. Mm-hmm. But what ended up happening was one day my son, right after he moved to Syracuse, he comes home from Christian school and he says, "Mom," he goes, "why do the Jews hate Jesus?" And I my brain exploded. Like something happened. Something was wrong. Like, what do you mean? Like, where did you hear that? Like, who told you that? And what happened was, he says, "Mom, it's just that they're always mad at him. The Jews in the Bible are always the ones who are mad." And I'm like, "Honey, yeah, but all the Jews that were happy about Jesus, they're in there too. Those are Jewish people too." But he wasn't getting that messaging. Mm. So suddenly it occurred to me that my husband's on the bima, which, Jews, bima is what they call the pulpit. So my husband's on the pulpit, and he's teaching week after week about Yeshua, the Messiah, which is the same as Jesus Christ. Yeshua means Jesus. Christ is Messiah in Hebrew. So they're hearing Messiah Yeshua from the bima, but when they open up their Bible, they're reading Jesus Christ. And you talk about creating a double-mindedness in our children that I felt like was really We just had to address it.
So,
we needed a Bible.
So if I get you, you wanted a translation of the Bible that would restore the Jewish identity of Jesus and give the full biblical picture that, yes, there were some Jews that opposed him, including some of our leaders, and we talked about that recently on Your Jewish Connection.
Right.
And people can get the archive broadcasts on reachii.org. But you wanted to get the full picture that even though there were Jewish leaders and some Jewish people that opposed him and handed him over to Pilate to be crucified, there are a whole bunch, as a matter of fact, more than 100,000 Jewish followers of Yeshua
Yeah, go ahead, say
by
that
the end
again.
of the first century in Jerusalem and Judea alone.
That's right.
And you wanted your kids to get that, and you were discovering that not only was sometimes the translations of the Bible kind of like leading one in a way that they couldn't see that as clearly as we wanted them to, but also some of the teachings in the church weren't really grabbing that aspect of things, that so many Jews became followers of Yeshua.
Yeah.
Am I getting that?
I think that that's right. I think that the reason that this is the time that the Tree of Life Bible even exists is because after the Jesus movement, those folks all grew up and got PhDs. And suddenly we get a seat at the table. And people ask us, well, what is different about being a Jewish believer in Jesus? And there is a richness to our faith in Jesus that comes when we begin to dig deeper into the identity and what Yeshua was actually speaking to, the audience he was speaking to, and where he was speaking from.
Who was he speaking to, and where was he speaking from?
And it's funny, but people really don't think about that when they read the Bible. You know, people like put the Bible in a blender and drink it like a smoothie. They don't always remember that things have context, not just culturally, but familially, like with family. It's such a family story in the Bible, all the way from Genesis to Revelation. There's a story of the Jewish people. It's Israel's family diary. So it was really time to do this, and it would have been enough, you know, that Jewish saying, Dayinu, Dayinu. It would have been enough if we could have just used the word Yeshua, Messiah. But when we started, like this groundswell of support came when one theologian after another said, listen, it's not just enough to change the word Jesus Christ to Messiah, Yeshua. We have to get back to the fact that even the word verily, verily, I say unto you, is actually amen and amen, I tell you, from beginning to end. And there's this journey.
I think you did something that I've been asking Christian scholars to do for quite some time. Did you translate the name Yaakov to James? You know, the book of James in the Bible?
Man, you're going to get me in trouble.
Or did you translate the word Yaakov to Jacob?
Yeah.
Because, you know, James kind of came from the King James Version. They felt they had to stick his name in there, but it kind of lost the reality. You know, people sometimes wonder, why are you into this Jewish thing? Is it because you're Jewish so much? Not really. It's because it's the biblical reality. It's God's reality and truth sets us free to experience more of God and to be more useful in God's hands. So did you actually translate
the Jacob
Yaakov
thing was big.
Jacob?
Well, let me let Danya
That's a
really dig
big
into
one.
this, but let's add a piece onto this.
Yeah.
Yaakov was Yeshua's half-brother,
Whoa.
right?
Yeah.
It wasn't James outside the family. This was his half-brother.
That's right.
But guess what else? We also have another author in the scriptures, the New Covenant readings. You most know it as Judah. It was Jude, but it's Judah. Mm-hmm. So two of Yeshua's half-brothers are some of the writers of the New Covenant.
Right.
And then the one who writes after that is John writes the book of Revelation. Like, did it ever occur to anybody that the last three authors that are written up in the New Covenant in order are Jacob, Judah, and then John writes Revelation? Now, I just want to point out, think about the fact that if his two brothers came to faith at some point, right? We don't know when, you know, but when they did, do you realize it changes everything? Like when he rose from the dead, his own family believed. If that isn't the best, if that is not the best hero story ever, I don't even know why people don't immediately run home and tell their parents. That's the first thing you do when you become a believer is you want everybody you love to know him. But we don't always teach that in the church. Instead, we teach that, your church family is your family, and that you have to leave mother and brother. I get all that. I get it. I get it that sometimes you have to leave your sin behind, but you don't leave your family behind. You don't leave your family behind, folks. And when you're Jewish and you come to a saving knowledge of Messiah, you never stop aching for your family to know him. And it's not enough to have a new spiritual family. You should ache for the salvation of your own family members. And it's such a good report by adding Jacob and Judah back in. I mean, I think it's the best news ever. If there was good news, it's better than good news. You get saved and you get to save your whole family. I think that rocks.
I mean, can you imagine they're saying, we got to believe in our brother? I mean,
come
on, Okay, he's really who he said he was, and he's like awesome. He was like supernaturally came to this earth, and we're going to follow him, and we're going to live out his supernatural commission to bring good news and salvation to our Jewish people and to people of every nation under heaven.
Everybody all in. That's what I want to say. Everybody all in. There's not a better way to find him. There's one door, right? There's a whole lot of paths, but there's one door, and the door is Yeshua.
Amen. There's only one door, and that's Yeshua. And we're going to be back here after the break with Rabbi Mark and Danya Greenberg, and we're going to dig in a little bit more as to why this Tree of Life Bible translation is so important and what it took to get it going. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Your Jewish Connection. I'm with dear friends, Rabbi Mark and Danya Greenberg, key players in this end-time revival of the Jewish people and also in God's move to restore the Jewish roots of the Christian faith and the Jewish identity of Jesus. Now, I got this Bible here in my hand. It's called the Tree of Life Bible. And these two folks are the founders of the Tree of Life Bible Society. And Danya was instrumental in grabbing this vision, and Mark supported her fully as her husband, and getting this thing from zero into a real translation of the Bible that you'll find on, in all bookstores and that you'll find on all the Bible websites and so on. But I want to know why do we need another translation, and why is the Tree of Life translation important to us as Messianic Jews and to Christians?
Okay, so this is a great thing to talk about because the why is really important. Why is it important? It's important because this is the first Bible that's been done by our entire Jewish community of believers that came together and commissioned us to do it. It was 30 organizations. It was 32 PhDs. It was $4.5 million. It's been a decade of our lives. It's been a huge move of God that there's no way we could have done. I'm not a scholar. I'm just a mom. But because we wanted a Bible for our children, it was like everybody just jumped on the bandwagon. But why is it important today and why is it important now? And I'll be very clear about this. This is the first time that you're going to hear the Jewish roots of the faith inside the words of the text. It's literally a palate cleanse for people who like to read the Bible. Have you ever been eating at a buffet and then all of a sudden you decide to just sit back and take Coke would be a great explanation of this, but it's kind of like having a Sprite. And you just clean your palate and then you go back and enjoy your meal more. You lose your ability to taste food if you eat the same thing for too long. You lose the sensation. We've been reading the Bible for years and years. This Bible is going to change the way you see it because you're going to see it through Jewish eyes. This is the family heritage of our people. And the Jewish people have been carrying the Bible on animal skins. Literally, an animal has to die so that we can write it. We can write the laws and the words of God on that animal skin so that we can keep it and pass it to our children for 3,400 years. This is the first time our community came together as lovers of Jesus and did a Bible together in 2,000 years. Yeah. If this wasn't a reason to look at it.
It's an amazing accomplishment, and I want to hear a little bit more of what it took to bring that all about. But if I'm hearing you right, the reason we need this Bible as Messianic Jews and Jews who don't believe and the entire Christian world is because God's story took place in a historical and cultural context. And really, the Bible is a book written by Jews, pretty much exclusively, maybe a couple of books not written by Jews. The Bible is a book written by Jews, for Jews, and people from every nation under heaven.
And it should be told from Jews as well. This isn't a Bible just to share the faith with Jews. This is a Bible from the Jews. It's good news, folks. It's good news. The best news of all, that we get to be one family of God, all of us together calling him Abba Father.
Yes.
There doesn't need to be groups that have aught with each other. We need to remember that the total package with the Bible is very simple. God has one message he's been trying to get out. Love God, love one another. Love God, love one another. Love God, love one another.
Hey,
Bipedal
I just
motion.
talked about that.
Love God, love
Our
one another.
last episode was about loving God, that this is a Jewish connection. It's not new to Christianity. It's Yeshua bringing it forth from the Tanakh, the Old Testament, to love God with all that we are, love our neighbor, and even to make disciples was a commission to the Jewish people that now we share as one new man, Jewish and non-Jewish Gentile followers of Jesus. We share that great commission. And so this Bible, the Tree of Life Bible, restores the Jewish mindset, the Jewish historical and cultural context by which it was written. And again, this is important. Why? Not because I'm Rabbi Stewart and I'm Jewish, because it was God's choosing to make this book available to the world through the Jewish people, through Jewish history, and through the Jewish mindset and cultural setting. And so we know that to understand, things better, if you want to understand a Native American better, you got to get into their mindset a little bit. You got to understand the way of thinking in their culture and their history. Same thing with the Bible. That's why this Bible is a treasure for Jewish people who don't yet know Yeshua. You're going to see that Yeshua is the promised Messiah of Israel. And for Messianic Jews, it just restores the Jewishness of our faith, and we live out our faith as Jews. And for Christians, it restores the Jewish roots of the Christian faith. And whenever we restore strength to roots, the tree grows bigger and stronger.
That's a really beautiful way to say that, to restore strength to roots.
Yeah. The Lord gave that to me somewhere along the line. One of my dear friends, he's like 90 years old now, he said, "Where'd you get that?" I said, I don't know. I guess the Lord just gave it to me, and I think it's biblically accurate. And,
can I show you something cool about this Bible that you're just going to love?
Come on.
Excuse me. I want you to think about when we say restore Jewish context. I don't know if most folks know this, but I didn't figure this out till the Bible Project started. But the Old Testament books, do you realize that they're different in Jewish Bibles and in Christian Bibles?
You mean the order?
Yeah, the order of the books.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we decided to do was restore Messiah Yeshua. But the second thing was I had this Jewish lady. I'd never, not met her before. Some of us Jewish wives got together. We decided we want to do this Bible for the kids. And she said, well, you have to restore the Jewish book order. And I'm like, excuse me? I had no idea there was a different Jewish book order. Well, this woman was raised Jewish. I wasn't. So I start looking and I find out that, I don't know if you know this, but the Old Testament has 3 sections in Judaism: the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. So the Torah is one section, then the prophets and the writings.
That's why it's called Tanakh. If you remember, I talked about this. Tanakh, Torah, prophets, Nevi'im, writings, Ketuvim.
Exactly. So Jews, if you look up a Bible, you'll see that they write it as the Tanakh because they use an acronym for it. But here's what makes it interesting for Christians. If I say to you, who is Daniel? And people would say, he did a prophecy. We know about the prophecies of Daniel. Daniel was a historian. Daniel's book is in the writings. It's not in the prophets in Judaism. Why the heck would that matter? Well, because if you want to study the way that Judaism works is everything is established by two witnesses. Two witnesses. So what that means is that one witness is the historian who's marking time and writing out what's happening. But then there's the prophet who's not with the historian, who gets a word from God, not being in the middle of the situation. I can show you exactly where that happens. It fascinates me that in the Jewish order of the books, it ends with 2 Chronicles. And the end of 2 Chronicles is King Cyrus, a Gentile king, right, saying the Jews can go up to the house of the Lord and worship together. And meanwhile, if you follow the Christian Bible, the last book is Malachi, which is a prophet, because they mix the prophets and the writings. And the reason that is hard for Jewish people is in the Christian Bible, the last word of Malachi says, turn the hearts of the fathers to the son and the sons to the father, or strike the land with utter destruction. So think about this for a second. If a Jewish person picks up a Christian Bible and looks at the end of the Old Testament, and you want them to turn that page that says New Testament, you want them to want to know about Jesus.
That 5,000 pound page to get to, the genealogy in Matthew.
Well, that page, honestly, it ends with utter destruction. So you leave the Jews in utter destruction by ending with Malachi. You don't leave them any hope. Where if you followed the way the Bible was beforehand, it would have been 2 Chronicles. It says, come on, let's all go up to the house of God together.
And then what does Matthew start with? It starts with the genealogy, the Jewish genealogy of Yeshua. We have just about a minute here together, Danya. Tell people how they can get a hold of the Bible, and I think there's an app. And
yeah. Oh, gosh, yeah. That's awesome. You can look us up at tlvbiblesociety.org, tlvbiblesociety.org, and get a Bible there. You can also find the TLV all over Amazon, Barnes & Nobles. It's available everywhere. It's very well known. And we have specialty Bibles that we make at the Bible Society, like the Messianic Jewish Family Bible, which has all of this text and 83 illustrations by Messianic artist Michael Washer that really just make it come alive. So we have a lot of extra helps to get you engaged with your Bible. And if you want to do multimedia content, we have a brand new TLV Bible app that's available in your app stores. And you can hear my husband, the voice of the TLV. He recites the Parsha, the Jewish reading, every week.
Got a nice voice, Mark. I like your voice.
And God said.
Whoa.
There we go.
Yeah.
But
my wife Chantal, who you know well and is your friend, she doesn't even let me sing in the shower. And I'm just kidding, but, I sing off tune. But anyway, can you tolerate my voice? We're trying to say some good things, helpful things to you because we love you with the love of the Lord, and we are going to continue to discuss these kind of things with Rabbi Mark and Danya next week at Your Jewish Connection every Saturday at 9:30 a.m., Sunday 6:30 p.m. And I want to talk, you guys have a wonderful Jewish value of putting family in its right place. And I want to hear a little bit about that in our next broadcast. And you don't want to miss it because we want to strengthen you. Rabbi Mark, would you just close us with a brief word of prayer, please?
Yes. Avinu Malkeinu, Father, our King, there is no one like you, creator of heaven and earth. Thank you for giving us your son, Yeshua, so that we can have a way to live, to understand your word, to love the way that you have loved us with an everlasting love, and help us to walk in your ways, not our way, Lord, but yours, so that we, as your disciples, will decrease so that you can increase in our lives. In Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen. See you next week on Your Jewish Connection.